What do you want to know? Good.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft globe.
Can I help you? Yes, have you got it? Does that arrangement include you paying me what we already agreed you owe me?
I understand your predicament as the manager. However, I feel I must remind you that we are here to conduct an important investigation that also affects your business.
Forgive me for saying this, but your colleague seems more committed to drinking, and...
He shrinks back a bit under the lieutenant's severe gaze.
I mean no offense. It's really nothing personal. I just have to protect the interests of this establishment. Good luck trying to use it. All the locks have an electronic component. They have to be unlocked down here with a master key before your guest key will open the lock. Not until you bring me the money.
Okay, I might have something in my motor carriage we can use when you're done here.
I really didn't want to resort to this. The man is thinking.
Oh, Lieutenant, we're done here. Yes, have you got it? Does that arrangement include you paying me what we already agreed you owe me? Game? Everything is just a game to you, isn't it? Oh, wonderful. Try to do that. I'll have to call you an ambulance. Oh, wonderful. Not until you bring me...
Okay.
I really did.
Oh, Lieutenant, we're done here.
What do you want to know? Good. What do you want to know? You mean like a brief? Do you want me to brief you again? 3 days ago, the RCM Emergencies Desk received a report about a security. During that time, the victim had been stripped of his belongings. They didn't identify themselves in any way. The tone was muffled using a device of some sort. There's a strong prejudice against involving the RCM in what's seen as union matters. The dock workers, just to be clear, we are police officers. It's our job to find the killer. That's the case. Uncover and arrest the killer. Good. What about me? Good. Let's change the subject. What about me? Good.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull...
I have something here we could sell. Look in the back, in the suspect transport enclosure.
Transport enclosure? Regular people just call it the cage. The cage at the back of the motor carriage looks rather uncomfortable. 4 shiny hubcaps are stacked against the seat. Their silver edges sparkle in the dark.
I confiscated these 4 a little while back. We can take them to the pawn shop down by the Martinez Canal. There are spinner hubcaps, frivolous things you put on your wheels. When the wheels come to a stop, the caps keep on spinning. There's no real use for them, it's just for vanity.
A vanity he wouldn't mind.
A couple of weeks ago, I stopped a young man for going slower than the speed of traffic. Turns out he was some coalition official's son and high. I took them and arrested him for driving under the influence. I don't know. Is it? I was going to take them into evidence, but they weren't necessary for conviction. He never asked for them back. No, that would be silly. I don't know why I kept them. It doesn't matter. I couldn't put them on this MC anyway. A cop with spinners. That would be outrageous.
He flashes a smile, barely visible in the dark.
As I said, they're useless anyway. I should have remembered I have these earlier.
But thank you.
Yes, there's one 100 meters south of here. I think it's called Roy's Nest or something. If I'm not mistaken, it should be open late.
The lieutenant nods as you take the spinners. A typical Martinez streetlight sits among assorted floor and table lamps.
It's not often that I see officers of the RCM in my pawn shop. What can I do for you?
His courtesy is not insincere, but he prefers being alone with his projector, just watching the movement of light across the walls of the shop.
I haven't really had any problems myself, though some of my customers have complained about the inconsistent law enforcement.
Who are your customers usually?
All kinds of people come through here. Locals, travelers, people looking for a deal, people looking for a keepsake, people who are terminally bored. As you can see, I have a wide selection of goods for everyone to choose from. It keeps me entertained.
Entertained? He might be high. If he is, on what?
Yes, we'd like to sell these hubcaps.
Roy takes the hubcaps from the lieutenant and inspects them. The spinners appear iridescent in the dancing light of his pawn shop.
No one was defrauded or jumped, I assure you. Thank you. Here's the 130 real you need for your bill. Do not waste it.
The windfall is a small consolation. What? Sold? The lieutenant shifts from one foot to another, alert. He's not telling you the whole story. It seems he's trying to spare you. You sucked on a gun? Good. Very normal. Very normal behavior. You must have been in great shape. The lieutenant looks from you to Roy, and then back to you. It's clear that he hopes this tableau might still turn out to be a bad dream. It's not, though. This has got to be the most... wow. There's pity there too, in case you didn't notice. The light swirls in his face and glasses. He doesn't know what to say.
Right, so let me get this right. You sold your sidearm, issued by the citizens' militia, and now a civilian is running around the streets of Martinez with it?
Miraculously, his face does not reveal what's happening inside.
You're right that she could cast aspersions on the Force. We have to find her.
A needle in a haystack. There is nothing you can do about it right now. You'll just have to hope Everard wasn't lying, and the Union can track her down in time.
Maybe Claire really is tracking down your gun.
He's not telling you the whole story. You sucked on a gun? Very normal behavior. You must have been in great shape. No one likes to see what you have to see every day. pawnbroker's gaze is already fixed on the dancing colors. Feeling warm and enthralled by the movement of light, while the mind continues to race forward. Lucky bastard, he's probably on Parolidon. It's tough to come by on the street. A drug developed by the military to treat and prevent radiation sickness. It has psychedelic side effects, and it makes your eyes turn yellow. There's a note of indignation in his voice. Interesting. Those triangle patches on his vest, you have a feeling they mean something, like they're similar to the halogen rectangle on your jacket. He's taken it for mental and emotional, not physical pain these days. Tough son of a gun, this one. Respect. So much bitterness. Yeah, you gotta get in on those vortices, my man. It's almost like he's worried for you. The lieutenant steps away, pretending to admire some of the knickknacks on display. Looks like he doesn't want to get involved. Go ahead then, he thinks. As long as you can walk straight, I don't care. Yes, darling. That's the coalition government ordained Parolidon. Straight into your gut. You see rows of toy soldiers guarding the rest of the trinkets displayed on the table. Some on horseback, others in rags, others yet in bright blue uniforms. All are stern and unyielding. Try to find something pretty and cool here, then use it to win her back. Yes, buy something nice, a figurine. Big men on big horses, clad in lamella armor and carrying flintlocks, the kind that would mow down a line of enemy soldiers in the blink of an eye.
Franco-Nigerian knights. I used to be very serious about these guys.
A long, long time ago. They're not all blue. These figurines also wear gold coats and caps, complemented by orange trousers. They are variously posed, wielding swords and rifles with bayonets. This set of soldiers isn't meant to look impressive. A few have rifles, but most of them carry pistols. Some even shovels and tall sticks. He seems to have his own take on the conflict played out in perpetuity by these toys. Might be interesting to find out what it is. This set of soldiers isn't meant... He seems to have his own take on the conflict played out in perpetuity by these toys. Might be interesting to find out what it is. This set of soldiers is... He seems to have his own take on the conflict played out in perpetuity. This set of soldiers... He seems to have his own take on the conflict played out in perpetuity by these toys. The boomboxes on the shelf look well-loved and well-traveled. Chipped, dented, they stare at you with the unblinking eyes of their tape reels. One especially catches your eye. Deep gold and amber plastic with a big old handle on top. A classic boombox that says, Stereo 8 approved. This is you. Golden orange. A sunset suite. Just make sure it works before you buy it. Like a beach party, with sand and sun and seagulls dancing on the breeze.
Theoretically, yes, but we don't have time right now. It's generally murder investigation first, then beach party.
Like a beach party, with sand and sun and seagulls. Like a beach party.
Theoretically, yes, but we don't have time right now.
Like a beach party.
Theoretically, yes, but we don't. That is the unofficial RCM motto, yes.
A typical Martinez streetlight sits among a sort. The light pole has been carefully cut, and the wiring has been redone and attached to a standard indoor plug. The light buzzes faintly, but his manner is casual, but his speech is careful, measured. He wants you to know that he has nothing to hide.
We are not here to investigate the theft of city property. You have to admit it's rather clever what he's done with it.
A bargain? No, it's not. He's trying to sweet-talk you into buying trash. A bargain? No, it's not. You see rows of toy soldiers guarding the rest of the trinkets displayed. Why? What's this? A headless man riding a horse? A headless man wearing futuristic tracksuit trousers that say found. That was a very smooth salesman's grin that almost comes off as earnest. You should learn from him. This set of soldiers, he seems to have his own take on the conflict.
Can I help you? Yes, have you got it? Well? Great, perfect. I hope you enjoy your freezing cold room with the window you broke yourself.
You've really worn down his patience. Even paying him didn't help. You've really worn down his patience. Even paying him didn't help.
The electronic lock to your room has been disabled till 9 p.m. tomorrow. Starting tomorrow, please pay for each night in advance. 20 real per night. If you don't have the money, it's over for you. Got it? You've got nowhere else to stay.
I'll take a room here too.
Always happy to have officers from the RCM as guests. Anything else I can do for you? Another thing. Great. I love those. Yes?
This is the door to the room you redecorated. You see rows of toy soldiers guarding the rest of the trinkets displayed on the table. Some the boomboxes on the shelf look well. One especially kept. This is you. Just make sure it works before you buy. Like a beach party. With
Theoretically, yes.
a typical Martinez streetlight, the light pole. His manner is casual.
You have to admit it's rather...
A bargain? You see rows of toy soldiers guarding the rest of the... Everything you pick out seems big men on big horses, clad.
Franco-Nigerian knights.
A long, long time ago. You see rows of toy soldiers guarding the rest of the... Why? That was a very smooth...
Can I? Yes. Have you got it? Well? Great. Perfect.
You've really walked...
The electronic lock to your room has... Starting tomorrow, please pay for each...
I'll take a room here too.
Always happy to have officers from the...
What about me? Good. Let's...
The door is closed. Still nothing. He doesn't like where this is going. You should punch a fucking hole in it. You slam your fist into the vinyl. It does not produce a hole. The door sits sturdily in the frame, and your fist hurts. This was, not to mention, great exercise.
Stop that.
This door can only be opened with a key or from the inside. see a heavy steel door with a prominent dimpled lock. You immediately feel drawn to the color. Blue is for mystery. The cobalt blue surface feels rough to touch. The stainless steel door is flush with its frame on every side. The door does not budge.
You do? It's a door in the back of the kitchen. Why do you care where it leads? Yes. I suppose it's worth seeing if we can get in. Just to be thorough. As a side investigation. If you say so, Gart is the person to ask about this. The cafeteria manager.
The door does not budge.
Can I help you? Another thing. Great. I love those. Oh yes, that door, sure. There's nothing mysterious about it. It's just a door. No, I don't have a key. I don't know how to get there. And I don't care either. It's not like I've been wondering about it for 10 years. It's just a frit warehouse, probably. Or some boring storage space with a bunch of old junk and dust. Junk and dust.
He's attempting to maintain an air of indifference. It's absolutely not convincing.
Fine, okay, a little. But my job doesn't leave me time for wondering about one locked door in one of the cafeterias I manage. So, I haven't opened it. I have cleaned the whole place 100 times over, though, after the animals. And I haven't found a key, so good luck with that. Yes?
You see a heavy steel door with a prominent dimple. You see a heavy steel door with the door does not. The cobalt blues. That sugary black rum stain on the counter makes you teary-eyed with joy. It's almost touching how syrupy and sticky it is. How long have you been up already? Attaboy. It's coming back to him. You had your mesolimbic reward pathway worried there, not thinking about drinking all that time. It was like you weren't yourself. Maybe you haven't turned out well for your drinking. Have you thought about that? Get a goddamn rum and lemonade to yourself, boy. Or better yet, lick that stain off the cap. What happened, man? You used to be cool. Go get your boring normal person drink then. It would go well with those cigarettes. That's a great combination. The worker is in a deep slumber. Perhaps he's on his way to where you just came from, into the primordial darkness. Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox.
All right. Ready? I turn, you press start. It's next to the preheater.
He's downplaying his excitement. The lieutenant is more than happy to show off his precious carriage. The dashboard lights up with orange glow. The rouse permitting cage jumps, and the engine of the Caprice Kinema comes to life with a whiny growl. The lights unfold with a little click, casting electrical light onto the ground before the vehicle.
There you go. I'll turn them off from the remote once you're done. We just need to stand in front of the machine now.
The white suede feels luxurious under the touch, and the metal clutch handle so very familiar in your palm.
This is the Caprice Kinema, my motor carriage. You can use the toolbox and the radio if you'd like.
Motor carriage, motor carriage. Something bad with a motor carriage. A dark lump rises in your throat. Nothing. It's probably nothing. Forget I brought it up. Please proceed with the carefree lollygagging.
No, I'm afraid not. We have a murder case on our hands, remember? A motorized vehicle, officer. I'm sure you are familiar with the concept. We've had these for nearly a century. The Caprice motorcar does provide most of our patrol vehicles, yes.
In the cabin, you see a set of steering levers. As you hold your ledger's clip under the headlamp, an iridescent hologram appears. A street grid and the veins of a great river. A familiar sensation washes over you.
There she is, Réflexion West.
Around the borders of the watermark are dozens, no, hundreds of micro-perforations. The rectangular watermark is overlaid with the logo of the RCM, and yet the major arteries of Réflexion are all recognizable. They shimmer in the Kinema's headlights. A rat brazenly darts past you and disappears amongst the stopped lorries. In the distance, a child somewhere shrieks. A woman reprimands her in a voice in the middle of a broken plaza in a cone of light, barely visible in the daytime. Two men, one slim, the other sturdy. They are on the city stage, but only one of them knows his lines.
Ah, Martinez. Let me see. Right here. No, it does not.
There are many of them, and they are divided into three separate. The first row has 18 dots. The next is the longest. It runs all the way around the border, and then some. There are so many, it's hard to count. More than 150. At least the last row has 3 perforations. That's it.
Those are perforations. They represent your record as an officer of the RCM. They are your statistics, as it were. I should have guessed you'd keep a record. Officers often do. Let's take a look.
Son, here is where we score your life performance. You better hope it's good.
The first row represents your years of service. 18 years. Okay, not bad at all. What did you do before you volunteered? That's what it says. I might have guessed even longer based on your age. What did you do all those blissful years of your youth? Cool. I'm glad you joined us. Not a lot of money in doom crying. Let's move on, shall we? This next row, the one that wraps all the way around, is your number of closed cases. Closed is good. It means finished. You've got, let's see... Wow, more than 200. It's quite a lot, even for someone who's been on the force for nearly 2 decades. Usually, clearing more than 10 cases a year puts you in the 90th percentile of all RCM officers. Call it what you want. You are a valuable member of your precinct. Now, let's look at the last row. Right. Those are your confirmed kills. You've got precisely 3 perforations there.
Confirmed kills? That sounds pretty evil. A drink would soften that feeling. That's right. A killer of humans.
For an RCM officer, especially Precinct 41, which is in the Jamrock Quarter, it's rather tame. I mean that in a good way.
What's it feel like to kill a man, Mr. McCoy? A young woman asked the man across the desk from her. Honestly, babe, says John McCoy, crossing his ankles over said desk. I don't feel anything anymore. It's just like brushing my teeth. I do it once or twice a week and don't really think about it.
There are certain officers who treat their kills like some kind of ghoulish game. If they do happen to solve a case, it's usually by accident. But it seems as though you are, or at least were, one of the good ones. So we have that to be thankful for.
He's sincerely glad you're not a scary predator. Not to say relieved you're competent.
Yes.
It's not a problem for him to state it, however.
Everyone has their own method of coping. Some more effective or self-destructive than others. Personally, I find it helps to keep up a few hobbies. Par exemple, why not gardening? You've already got the gloves.
It's meant in earnest. Please don't mistake it for a jab.
Right. I'll go turn off the lights.
Tremble. The time is now. Ta'ola. Time for the show. For Ta'ola. The hallowed time of fear and disintegration. A countdown has begun. All will collapse on itself. The world will disappear into a single grain of blackness. All sound will be muted. All life will scream. Ulogu Theodos, Xeno Zausin, Ipoli Osithian, Echondes Fronisin. Monday morning, the moment you arrived in this reality, are the first crack in the sheer face of God. From you it will spread. Yes, you spoke the words of the Palindropos and the houses of Pericarnassus. Items, people, even words will tumble. All will lose its meaning in the coming years. That is why you marked yourself. It's totally also a coping mechanism. So you should be. The world island crumbles at your feet, and in the far plain, Palin, perhaps. Just a thought. This has something to do with the hangover. The face of the woman fractures. There will be herd killing. We all become vapor. Inside, you see a set of steering levers. The frequency tableau lights up, and a green button labeled Prime Line glows. The soft purr of electrical kittens. Radio waves cast far and wide over the metropolis. A woman's voice greets you through the static.
This is Precinct 57. Hello, Lieutenant. How may I assist you?
Hello, Alice. Please assist our colleague from the 41st Precinct here. I'm putting him on.
Operating the radio is easy. Just be confident. You've probably done it 1,000 times.
This is Officer Alice Demetri, Precinct 57. How may I assist you? Just a second, officer.
10-2, 10-5. This is 41st. Come in. Over.
A scrawny old man sits in a dusty cubicle, smoking, with a large white rectangle sewn on his vest. In front of him is a box-shaped apparatus with an array of wires and antennas. The radio switchboard.
10-4, what's your status? Over. 10-18, 10-20, over. 10-18, 10-20, over. State your message, sir. Over. 10-9, repeat message. Over. 10-4, message received. This is a very serious situation. I need to 10-22 the captain. Over.
10-22, the captain. This sounds bad. Bad and scary. Like being called to the headmaster's office in school.
Is it him? What does he want?
Says he lost his badge and needs to report it.
He what? He lost his badge?
This is Communication Officer Jules Pidieux, sir. Over. You mean your partner? Over.
What is he saying?
He's asking who you are.
I'm his goddamn partner.
It's your partner, Satellite Officer Dietmar, sir. Over.
Did he lose his memory along with his fucking badge?
Who lost his badge?
Dick fucking Mullen. Who do you think?
It's Officer Dick Mullen from the bestseller Dick Mullen and the Lost Identity.
Dick Mullen is not your name. It's the name of a fictional detective who would not lose his badge. Defend yourself. Immediately. They're laughing at you.
He says this has probably happened to other policemen before him and laughs sarcastically.
Oh goddamn it! Is he fucking kidding? The whole station's gonna be dicked for this.
Satellite Officer Dietmar is wondering if you might be joking and adds that this tarnishes the reputation of the entire station. Over.
Mullen dicked us.
He's asking you to stop, says this is serious.
Of course it's serious. He lost his fucking badge.
Satellite Officer Dietmar concurs, losing your badge is serious. Over. 10-4, I hear you, officer. I'm just going to make a note here that you are in pursuit of your misplaced badge. Over.
Fuck me. Mac, come here. You've got to hear this. Dick Mullen lost his badge. Super Cop here lost his badge.
His badge. He lost his goddamn fucking badge.
He asks you to please stop saying he lost his badge. Sergeant Orson was wondering if you found your badge yet. Over.
You don't have a comeback. Sorry. It's hard to think like this.
He's not replying. Looks like he's still looking for it. 10-9, come again. I didn't get that. Over.
New heights even for Captain Sober.
Sergeant Orson wants to know if you lost your gun too. Over.
Oh, fuck. Even before you can get the words out, everything gets scrambled in your brain.
He says he didn't lose his gun. Or his fun, whatever that means.
Ask him to describe it. His gun. Not his fun. Just the gun will do.
Satellite Officer McLean requests a description of your weapon. Over.
The fuck do you need a gun for? Look at the pythons on your arms. You are a gun. The biggest one in the world. Oh, request a description, huh? We'll give him one. Describe the plasma gun.
He says he's a living weapon and we are trying to trick him.
Host in heaven. Did he lose his gun and his mind? This isn't really a laughing matter.
Mac can face a giant of Coco Nur by himself. But Disco here made him piss his pants.
I'm not going to. Sergeant Orson here is wondering if you are still in possession of your genitalia. Over.
Now is a good time to say fuck and ass and so on. That'll make this all right.
That's a negative. Not going to say that. Over. He said he sodomized your mother.
Sure her vanilla waffles were the only thing he ate?
Sergeant Orson requests that you apologize for the claims that you made about his mother. Over. Mac, he says you shouldn't have antagonized the Firewalker in the first place.
Who?
Satellite Officer V. I'm afraid he might be referring to himself as Firewater, sir.
Firewater? He's lost it. Fuck it. Tell him to find his goddamn badge and gun. That's the only thing that matters.
Satellite Officer V. Ten-4, affirmative. Officer is in pursuit of his firearm. Officer, do you need further assistance? Over. Okay, 10-4, sir. I hear you. Relay your question. Over.
Wait. Before you say anything stupid, think it through. Be smart about this. Ask if he's there alone.
10-4, sir. I'm not hearing your question. That's a negative, sir. I got a 10-12 here. Over.
What? What is it? He's still on the line?
He wants to verify the information on his badge.
Tell him to stop wasting time.
What do you need, sir? Over. Ten-4, well, that's,
Does he actually want something, or is he hell-bent on disrupting our work?
He asked if he ever told me about his days before joining the RCN.
For God's sake, cut this shit out! Tell him to stop wasting time and be a goddamn policeman for a change.
Sir, Satellite Officer Vicmar says... So, was there anything else? Understood, sir. Over. Roger that. 10-10. Over and out.
18 kilometers to the south, in the 41st Precinct's relay booth, a small crowd has gathered around Communication Officer Jules Oldboy Pidier, around a dozen cops. The small room is filled with cigarette smoke, abuzz with laughter, when Officer Judith Minot enters. Her left arm is in bandages, and her hair trimmed short.
What is going on here? Did something happen?
What happened is my partner made contact. It's not good. He's lost his badge and his sidearm. He seemed confused, delirious even.
Mac, the torso Torson, is finger-fucking his fist, laughing hoarsely and apparently telling some dirty story to his partner, Chester McLean, near the entrance.
Yeah, Mac's right. That was some gnarly shit there.
Enough! None of this is funny. It's fucking sad. That's what it is. He's a cop. He's one of us, goddamn this.
We must help him.
Yeah? How do you fucking plan to do that, huh? Get him off the drink? Go jogging with him in the morning and get him on carrot juice? He's a lost man.
I just know we can't give up on him when he's at his weakest. He wouldn't.
Mac, man the door. You know what he told me? I don't want to get better. I want to get worse. Those were his words. This shit does not leave this room. Not a word of this to the captain. Or anyone else. We'll give him a couple of days to pull his shit together.
I guess I can hold off the report for a few days.
Good. Okay, everybody. Nothing but a prank call here. We all got our laughs. Now get back to work.
Far north, on the other side of the motorway, the officer quietly hunches with his hand in the motor carriage. As you tap on the gauge, the indicator pin jerks as if startled. It's in the large orange sector, indicating the engine is warm. Next to the gauge is a red switch, labeled heat.
Now, that's enough fun with the foldable headlights. I know they are mesmerizing. They are also fragile. I'm not going to turn it on for you again.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you? It will take just a moment, officer.
Her voices fade out into the familiar radio static.
Gottlieb, what do you want?
He's carelessly chewing on a piece of hard candy.
Oh, it's you.
Was that a snarl or a suppressed groan? No love for you here.
With all the damage you've been dealing yourself with drugs and alcohol, I'm not surprised.
There is no surprise in his voice, only careless superiority.
What else? I'm not a brain doctor. Look on the bright side, you've got a whole new life now. Use it wisely.
It's hard to say if he doesn't believe you, or doesn't care.
Firewalker? Oh, yes, you are. Just don't breeze in the general direction. Do exactly that. Put yourself out of your misery. Take a deep, diaphragmatic breath. In and...
A glorious sight. Your body, tired from the vastness of the visions that haunt it, burning up in a flame fed by your own living breath.
I'm the most serious person at the station, Detective. Now, do you have any current? That's because you're hungover. Even the radio waves coming from your direction smell like liquor. Do you feel like your eyes are twitching too? That's the tiny vessels pulsating from high blood pressure, stupid officer. You might be sustaining permanent damage to your vision as we speak. Not much I can do about it. I'm not an eye doctor. The busy kind. It's not life-threatening, just annoying for you. I've got more important things to do here, and you survived it. Congratulations.
Sort of, but by God does it burn in your chest.
Even better. Anything else? I wouldn't worry about that. Officers your age have coronary trouble all the time. What? You want me to do blood work for you again? Tell you just how bad things really are across the board? You want another rundown of everything collapsing inside? You want the real, honest-to-God truth? Stop drinking, eat magnesium and vitamin D. Our station is not a retirement home.
So it's political. You're being neglected because of political reasons. The money is probably going to some old, oily...
And no, I don't want to hear a political commentary on the topic. In fact, I got work to do. Some idiot has glued his eyelids shut.
Anything else I can help you with, officer? '57's over and out.
In the cabin, you see a set of steering levers.
Can I help you? Do I have a shaker in my hand? Is this a shaker?
He sounds irritated.
Am I wearing a little bow tie? Am I wearing a bow tie and doing this? Am I smiling? Do you see me smiling and shaking my little shaker? No. Do you know why? That's right, I'm the cafeteria manager. I'm glad we cleared that. Is there anything else? Well, you're not getting it, arsehole!
This is a thoughtful exchange, but can we move on, please?
This is the door to the room you redecorated.
Just a moment. You had some questions earlier, I believe. And besides, we should discuss our progress on the investigation. Let's go out to the balcony. Where shall we begin? We should talk about the investigation, first and foremost. But I also remember you wanting to discuss the RCM? I have a cigarette every night when I go over my notes. It's something of a ritual.
Oh man, he looks so devastatingly cool with that cigarette.
You mean this? This isn't cool. It's an unnecessary trial of will and unhealthy.
Keeping the habit within the parameters he's given himself takes a lot of focus. It would be easy to simply quit. Yet, were he to quit, he would lose the cool factor. This man relishes his cool quite a bit, we are told.
I apologize, but I only brought one with me. I have exactly one cigarette every night while going over my notes. Yes, it's been a long and eventful day. Well, we inspected the victim's body, so that's good. It was not easily approachable in that state, but we did it. Our inspection could have been more thorough, as it always can, but we have some leads we can follow up on. Then you shot him in the chest, which wasn't ideal, but we did manage to get him down from the tree. So as they say, all's well that ends well. Being sober tends to help with precision. Anyway, we performed a field autopsy on the victim. We found some things we can really work with. I still feel like we missed something, but maybe the boys in processing will surprise us. We still have work to do at the crime scene. Now, as for interviews, my list of people to talk to here in Martinez, I mean. Very important indeed. Well, we conducted an interview with Everard Claire. He wasn't particularly forthcoming with useful information, however. Claire also helped you, how should I say, remember your name? That's a relief. That's normal. It's best not to give it too much thought. We didn't talk to the Wild Pines rep. We really must do that tomorrow. Above all, though, today was exhausting. What's with all the running? You run a lot. Is that a standard Precinct 41 practice?
I have a really good theory about why you're running so fast, son. Just you wait until we get up tomorrow.
It's impressive, especially for a man your age, and in those hills. Nice shoes, by the way. I like the green. Goes with the orange.
Thank you for the compliment. We could manage it even in wooden clogs. There are uncanny running reservoirs in this body. God knows why.
They're quite limited, actually. The power officers of the Réflexion Citizens Militia exercise most frequently is imposing fines of up to 1,000 real for offenses, in accordance with an interdepartmental schedule. The RCM's primary role is to ensure safety. We are not really supposed to play any part in the economic structure of Réflexion. Yes, although indirectly, as citizens can always request records from their local station. Officers of the RCM have been known to take bribes of less than the prescribed fine amount. It undermines trust in the RCM. We can arrest people, of course, but rather than bringing someone in directly, it's preferable to serve a station cold sleep. It prevents confusion and overcrowding. You can't. Those who don't show up become fugitives, though, and have fewer legal rights when they are eventually caught. It's about power projection. Thus far, they seem to mostly show up.
When power calls you, you come. But power itself is a fragile trick of perception.
As you may have gathered from the fact that we are expected to carry a record of our kills, like the one in your watermarks, we are permitted to use whatever force is necessary, and strongly admonished not to abuse that power. You have to supply compelling evidence for why it was necessary to use lethal force. In these cases, your partner is usually your witness. Not a good position to be in, by the way. Internal Affairs handles these cases thoroughly, by cross-examining you for inconsistencies. It is hard to cover for anyone, which is for the best. We don't convict. We arrest and send them to coalition government courts in Couron and La Delta. The prosecution works off our testimonies and records, which is why it's paramount to keep them. The coalition government, and the moral intern more broadly. The RCM was formed by the coalition government to restore order in the international zone after the revolution. So we did. Now we attempt to maintain that order. No more, no less. Or perhaps it is better to say we were allowed to form. It's a point of contention whether the citizens of Réflexion or the coalition government founded the RCM. Be sentimental if you like. Either way, the moral intern leases us the right to keep the peace in this city, and they will take it away if we misuse it. They're quite limited, actually. We can arrest people, of course, as you may have gathered from the fact that we are expected to carry a record of our kills, like the one in the coalition the RCM, or perhaps it is better to... It's probably more honest, yes. Either way, the Moral Intern leases us the right to keep the peace in this. The Moralist International are the world's largest political organization. You know who they are. They have been running this place after the revolution failed. They're a union of center-left and center-right parties across the Real Belt. Our coalition government is just one of its many projects. They also run the ICP, EPIS, most intergovernmental organizations in the world. What do they believe in? They are Dolorians. They believe they continue the humanist project set forth by Her Innocence Dolores Day 4 centuries ago. Others say they are just technocrats. Interesting question. It's a blue forget-me-not. Their motto is love, compassion, self-discipline. I think you can gauge what they want you to think of them from that.
Something kind and usual. Something ominous. Something even a little feminine, but in a strict manner.
A historic figure? The author of the modern age? You will have to look elsewhere for opinions. The subject of humanism is too abstract for me.
For you, she is something painful, though it's hard to say why.
The moral intern are a fact. I try not to have opinions on facts until they change. And it doesn't look like that's about to happen.
It is more than that. There's some kind of affection in him.
Yes, I did, when I was younger. In my 20s, I considered myself a moralist. A blue forget-me-not, a piece of the sky. They're not all that bad. But the years have changed that. I don't know what I believe in now. No, I believe in the RCM. That's enough for me. Do you? We are in what is called the twilight of international law. The laws we claim to enforce come from the MI. Without them, we are simply vigilantes. Sadly, it is what we already are to the people of Martinez, most of them at least, especially the Union. Vigilantes. I expect our job here to prove quite challenging.
The lights of the orphan district are reflected in his glasses, the red and golden orbs of the motorway sliding like pearls on a string, from east to west, as Réflexion commutes back to the suburbs. Tomorrow is Tuesday. Monday is over.
They're quite limited, actually. We can arrest people, of course, but as you may have gathered from the fact that we are the coalition, the RCM, or perhaps it is better to say we were allowed. It's probably more honest, yes. Either way, the Moralinton leases us the right to keep the peace in this city, and they will take it away if we misuse it.
This soldier is the highlight of the day for me, he thinks. This little stick right here.
They really don't like us here. And the mouth on that kid, Kuno. It's different inland, in Jamrock and the GRIH. It's our fault for leaving this place to the dogs, to the Union, to the company, not daring to come here more often. It's like I told you, this place is an orphan. Fallen between the cracks. We run this city. West of the river is RCM land. It's incredibly hard. Human beings are. But we are in control, and it's worth it. The organization works. Our systems work. If they didn't, the city would disintegrate.
Night. Captain Bartholomew Price steps into the yard. A piebald horse waits by the motor carriage, chewing oats out of an oak bag. Seagulls fly overhead. The sky is black. Captain Price wears a black suit and a standard patrol coat, as rows of houses on either side, hunching over the sidewalks, and Precinct 41, with its dome roof growing distant. Around him, the streets are silent. A kid on the corner waves at the captain as he takes the turn on Petition and Main. The horse neighs. The captain nods back. Thanks, kid, he thinks. He's grateful.
Me too. But I wouldn't count on any drastic changes in our lifetimes. Yeah, it's getting very cold now. Let's go.
The bed is cold and not particularly inviting, but it's yours. The sheets look awful. A mirror hangs on the bathroom wall. In it, your face, now without the expression. It's just hairy. A mirror hangs on the bathroom wall. In it, your face, now without the expression. A mirror hangs on the bathroom wall. In it, your face. Now, the faucet is quite terribly mangled, but you just might be able to twist its parts into place. The fan stands still. The lights are off again. The switch must be broken because nothing happens. The air in the room is starting to feel like vaporized urine. The window stands broken in its frame. You see some lights shimmering outside, but it's difficult to make out the outlines of the buildings below. Dark phantoms with many The door is closed. Still nothing. You should punch a fucking hole in it. You slam your fist into the vinyl. It does not produce a hole. The door sits sturdily in. The door is closed. Still, you should punch up. That felt good. Everyone is a whore. Now punch up. You slam your fist into the vinyl. It does not produce a hole.
Fuck does Kuno care? Been waiting for you to fucking man up. In there is Kuno's violent dad, on steroids. Kuno's dad does steroids. Okay, Kuno's listening. Sure, whatever. If you survive, make sure to bring that shit back to Kuno. Kuno's almost out. You wouldn't like the Kuno when he's out. Kuno's violent dad's got Kuno's key. So you need to fuck your way in there. Go to the pier side, bang on the door till the cleaning gimp lets you in. That's how Kuno does it. Then you go to room 12 and kick down the door, police violence style. That's what Kuno does. And then it's action time. You're locked in the room with violent fuckhead. That's it. Next time Kuno sees you, you better have his shit. Kuno doesn't fucking care.
An old call box with a matrix of push buttons lists all the companies in the East Delta Commerce Center. An off-key melody starts playing after you ring the...
Kuno, please stop calling here. Grown-ups don't have time for your stupid games. Oh, I'm sorry, officer. I thought you were... But the doorbell is broken, and the bookstore shouldn't even be on the list anymore.
A single beep indicates that the line has... You ring the doorbell. What an ominous name for a hair salon. Doesn't bode well. Just seeing the words, Andro Orlando, gets your hackles up. Its very existence is a threat to your masculinity. A lorry stuck in the traffic jam. The windows are clear. They've been recently washed. You can see a lorry. The windows are clear. The back end of the cabin has a small perch to sleep.
The unpromising Ray's pupil returns.
This coin-operated viewer is facing southwest. Its coin slot is full of fossilized.
Good morning, officer. I'm Joyce. Joyce L. Messier. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbor. You must be from the RCM. Beaton, my maiden name. Nothing, honestly. I've said it to every drunk in town, and you're the first one who's responded.
What is implied here? That you're a drunk? She hasn't actually said it to every drunk in town. It was spoken in jest.
Of course you're not. It was only a joke. I'm glad to see you here.
Like steel. There is strength there. If she wanted, she could sink her nails deep into your skin.
I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynching. Anything I can do to assist the RCM in this matter, I will. Gladly. Why, yes I am. Of course there are. We're on an archipelago. How else are you supposed to get around? Yes, we are. We are on Le Caillou. We are. And the city of Réflexion is on the island of Le Caillou. I haven't seen anyone else drive a souped-up Capri Kenema motor carriage either. No matter whose it is, a motor carriage is just a tool. You need it to do your job, as I do mine. It's just a means of getting where you need to go.
She's having a good time arguing against the law. Too good, perhaps.
The boat? No. It is called Cordelati 19, because that's the type of sloop it is.
The word, it, feels strange. Such a breeze ripples through the sails and tugs at your hair. Below, the sleek, fish-like shape of the hull parts the water. Beneath that, a resounding darkness. You're reminded of something. Or someone.
Okay. How about Cordelati 19? Why? Because it was manufactured in Réflexion East by a company called Cordelati, and its hull is 19 paces long. Why Dolores? Well, it means nothing to me. I think I'll stick with the factory name, but thank you for the suggestion. It's a pleasure craft, a 19-pacer. It also happens to be rated for Category 1 racing. Though my sloop, I like it a lot. It's the eel's hips, baby. Officer, I assure you I'm a highly qualified pleasure craft operator.
The crowns of her teeth are porcelain, white as the boat's hull as she smiles. Qualified pleasure craft operator. So charming. Where's the damn license?
Why wouldn't it be? This is Réflexion, Wayfarer Act and all. Anyone can drive a boat. Good. What we do. I'm afraid I don't speak for Wild Pines as a whole. It's a giant undertaking. The Pines' core competency is logistics. Container shipping, freight, that sort of thing. See those airships there, blinking? Those are the shipping side of things. And that is the terminal. Another subdivision deals with energy, oil and gas exploration, offshore platforms. I'm not at liberty to discuss the company balance sheet, but I can tell you that last year, the company booked more than 20 billion real in revenue. $20 billion is a large number, but the conglomerate employs 72,000 people. They all need to be paid. Then there are capital improvements, interest payments. A conglomerate the size of the Wild Pines is like a shark. If it stops moving, it will die. Then what becomes of those 72,000 families? It's a tremendous responsibility. They started as an exploration and cargo fleet conducting trade between the Samaran and Insulindian Isolas 250 years ago, when pine ships explored the South Seminese and charted Lormentang. Centuries of care, deliberation, and madness have gone into this endeavor. Vessels pass through the great unrest to re-emerge with apricots in tow. The logic of the system is totalizing. It's taken everything from its employees to build it. You mean aside from being the terminal's legal owners, who are responsible for moving 8% of the world's cargo? There are no minor cogs in the system. Each terminal must be accounted for, lest the entire system break. Every hiccup in such a system means thousands lose their jobs, the world over. I'm here to assure that doesn't happen.
With your help, hopefully, says her warm tone.
Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets. First, you'd have to repeal the Emergencies Act of Trade in Aliments. That gives me the right to silence. It's quite the octopus. Why? By throwing off half a century of foreign domination under the Coalition. Unfortunately for you, the Coalition also leases you the right to police West Revachol. But I am derailing us. You wanted to know about the strike. I believe the official title is Senior Labor Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines and return with Wild Pines' counteroffer. They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week ago, after that awful lynching took place. Now they won't even let me into the harbour. There's a 2-meter-20 racist behemoth blocking the gates. Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first arrived. I arrived 3 weeks ago. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was still partially frozen then. I prefer to do these things on site, like the RCM. I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Gaumont despite concessions he'd granted the union in prior negotiations. The union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time their demands are more, I guess you could say, aggressive. Mr. Clare told him to... how did he put it? Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see. Yes, Keep in mind, this is a negotiator Mr. Clare has worked with before, and who was more than fair with him and the Union.
Sounds like usual aggressive posturing.
There are leaflets everywhere, and banners. What did they say again? Oh yes. Every worker, a member of the board. In its defense, another said, demand democracy. Pretty tame stuff compared to every worker, a member of the board. It's quite simple, you see. Every time the Wild Pines group makes a decision, about what? About anything really, it needs the signature of each of the 2,200 workers in its Martinez terminal. Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild Pines Group. They're having a blast. But how can they afford it? After 4 months, my assumption was they would prefer a more practical solution. I'm not sure. Naturally, I assume that was just their opening position, a hard-nosed tactic with a side of mockery. But there's been no follow-up, just the same nonsensical slogan repeated over and over again. And now, people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the whirling in rags. A disastrous situation if there ever was one. The scabs? You mean the huddled masses of Jamrog, come to plead for work where the Union refuses to? If they were organized by Wild Pines or its affiliates, then it would be a company secret. I could not share it with you. Not right now, at least. Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can say one thing about him, it's that he always puts the interests of the workers first. Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, viscous goo where you and I have blood. He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin brother, Edgar. Have you seen him? Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everard does, and when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes over. It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues. The Débardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act, but they did it. I can respect that. Organised labour at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The brothers Clare came and transformed it into a... how do you say... Thank you for being candid. Sadly, Wild Pines have cooperated with what amounts to a crime syndicate for 2 decades. However much you feed the wolf always hungers. I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the Union. She disappeared. Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore. Or coming to work. Ever. End of story. Downright haunting, if you ask me. The Wild Pines suspected foul play, but what could they do? It was a union matter. The point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen around the Clares. Watch out when you're dealing with him. Of course. How else can I help? Quite a few things, I'm afraid. The information I'm to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for your name and badge number. I just can't go around telling confidential information to strangers. I've signed a contract.
But she knows you're police.
What happened to it, Detective?
Awkwardness washes over the conversation. The woman doesn't like this turn of events.
I see. So, are you saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode? I can't hear you, darling. Speak up, please. Oh dear. Some kind of encephalopathic amnesia. I don't even know how to respond. I do believe you, naive as that may sound. I simply can't imagine what you gain by faking such a condition. However, this isn't about my feelings. There's also protocol to consider. I'm afraid I can't say any more until I've seen that badge.
Hang on. She's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement. I mean, favors for favors. A dirty alliance of some sort. Feelings will guide the way.
I assure you, it is no small matter for me either. We all share the responsibility for disarming this situation. I hope you have a badge for me as soon as possible. Officer. You know, I don't mean to sound cold, but if you want something, you have to give something back. More than just guilt.
You're doing it. Despite your own best efforts, you're still getting in. Somehow.
I'll be frank with you. If I'm going to break protocol, I need to be able to justify it to my superiors. They're going to want to see something tangible. The Union is conducting drug trade out of the harbor. It's an open secret in Martinez. Surely it must not come as a complete surprise to the RCM either. Perhaps it's time to look into it. Or you can find your badge, which honestly seems like a lost cause. You have? And how did you like Mr. Clare?
Finally, time to choose sides.
Oh, come on now. He has his uses. How else would he have stayed in power all these years? Or wait, actually... corruption. That's how he's done it. Fantastic, Verne-like corruption, reaching into the bowels of the earth. Of course, I don't expect you to share anything he told you with me. I'm not a Verne myself. But if you felt like passing some information, how could I stop you? Are we not human? Are we not curious to hear another person's take? It's only natural. We would only be gossiping.
Intellectually speaking, it would be quite interesting to hear what she has to say about these things. Tell her she'll like you for it.
Oh. That's so helpful of him. So very, very helpful. And how is that going? Do you have any leads on that gun? Did he now? Well, then it should be any day now. Unless, of course, he's lying to you. Anyway, was there anything else you've heard? Of course, Detective. Should something come up later, down the road? Until then, is there anything I can help you with? That's the man who was killed. I'm afraid this is a discussion for once we've cleared the lynching question. Better not tie the forestay to the backstay on this. I hope there is something else I can help you with.
She wants to answer the question. Protocol keeps her from it.
That's the man who was killed. Better not tie the forestay.
She wants to answer the question. Protocol keeps her from it.
This reality.
The aim is to gain a deeper understanding.
Ah, yes, the episode. Sounds like an acute case of encephalopathy, now that I think of it. But then I'm no doctor. Ask away, officer. I'll help however I can.
All right, you're in. Begin with the first one. You'll appear worldly.
We're in Martinez, baby. A casual term of endearment popular among the 50-plus crowd. It's a disco holdover, pay it no heed. Aren't we all? Martinez is a district of Réflexion. A very small district tucked away near the industrial harbour, north of the 881 and Jamrock. You would be excused for not knowing about it. Unimportant, they say. Forgotten, even. Shelled to smithereens during the Revolution. It has its charms, just not this time of year. I'm not a good ambassador. I've only been here once before, as a teenager. Not a lot has changed. There are ruins, a terminal, fishing boats, reeds, boys with boxy shoulders. This place used to be a province, a workers' resort before the city swallowed it and the artillery did its work. The reeds are the real star of the show here now. The further down the coast, the wilder it gets. It's not really a sea, it's the Bay of Réflexion, and the bay feeds into the ocean. Yes, we're on an island in an ocean, the world's largest body of water, the Insulindic.
Vast, lukewarm and unknowable, flowing in and out of sight.
Caillou, as you already know. Imagine a pebble. A smoothed-over pebble amidst a great blue sea, misshapen, cracked. The cracks are the River Esperance. We're in the delta of this river, on the 6th branch, the Martinez distributary.
It is clear this pebble is of enormous value to her, and to humanity at large.
Réflexion? Réflexion is what? The great kind.
As if it's self-explanatory, beyond patriotism, a fact.
History, detective. They built this city to resolve history. Our part in it, at least. Our centuries. The nations of the Occident, or migrant workers from Seminine and Ile-Marat, depending on your creed. In the DeLorean century, 380 years ago, they say it's where the terrible questions of our time will be answered. The tensions are highest, the fault lines deepest. By that I mean conflicts. Ideological conflicts. The stuff of men. We are standing on a fertile, self-sufficient island able to sustain up to 200 million people in the middle of the Insulindic Ocean, the world's connective tissue. It's where the money is. I think it's fair to say so. Martinez is about 22 kilometers from the center of the world. That soldering iron is the bank of the world building. The bottom floors are Insiacom. Coalition government, Insulindian Mission Command.
Silence. She lowers her hand. The water, the light. It's as though you're seeing it for the first time. There is no recognition, only the immensity of the sea and the cold radiating from it.
We are where we are. I have no truer answer to give, unfortunately.
This is one thought you need to complete. Where are you?
Was there something else you wanted to know? I remember something about a lowdown. We're in Martinez. Martinez is a... You would be excused for not knowing about it. Unimportant, they say. Forgotten, even. Réflexion, the great kind.
As if it's self-explanatory.
History detective. They built this city to resolve. They say it's... By that I mean, we are standing on a fertile, self-sufficient island, able to sustain up to 200 million people, in the middle of the Elysium Ocean. Oh, we're quite a way off. About 22 kilometers from the center of the world.
Silence. She lowers her hand. The water, the light, there is no recognition. Only the... She observes your eyes, scanning the horizon. This is one thought you need to complete.
Was there something else you wanted to know? I remember something about a lowdown. These are unimportant times, Detective. You and I were born after the dust had settled. 1,000th of a second too late. For the big time.
The smile of a predator. No doubt what she's got in mind.
All men are predators, dear. Nothing much to be done about that. It's all a matter of where you get to file your teeth. The revolution. It's quite easy. Every 100 years or so, our species gets together to decide what's next, who gets shot in the head, and who gets the mineral rights. It's a real kerfuffle. Those would be the communists. Generally speaking, 40 million people got shot in the head during the World Revolution. But the communists, they all got shot in the head.
She's not gloating. It's a relieved celebration.
Oh, and the anarchists too. They shot them well. So well, one forgets they even existed. Did they ever? Before they got shot themselves, they shot 2 million people. Yes, the Red Deluge. The Insulindian Deluge, they call it. Oh, lots of people. Even the king got shot in the head, or thrown beneath a horse, or drowned. Accounts differ. It was unceremonious. Just as well, he wasn't actually the king. Just the king's nephew. The real king abdicated and lived out a long and productive life as a venture capitalist in Grad. Yes. King Guillaume had a nose for bad PR. He ran before it. What is the expression? Went down? Anyway, Gil got out alive and his nephew Frisell got shot in his place. Him and tens of thousands of his wonderfully fascist kingsmen. It was a wild time. The liberals got the mineral rights. And by mineral rights, I mean everything. Liberals are usually middle-class people, Detective, or the remaining gentry, the beneficiaries of the pre-revolutionary arrangement. Some were rich enough to stay with the Constitution, with monarchy. Big mistake. Others bet on the revolution. They were called the ultras, or ultra-liberals. They fared well. They didn't win so much as survive. We were the last ones standing when the war ended. Everyone else got shot in the head, remember? To foreign intervention, the Coalition. Those people really took the mineral rights. The Liberals took everything that wasn't nailed to the ground. The Coalition took the ground. The ocean, the laws, and the people. The Coalition of Nations. Grad, Mesk, Vesper, Messina, Oranje, and Sur-la-Clay, the armed center of the world. They landed here and ended the revolution. It was the moralist thing to do.
There is bitterness in her voice, tempered with understanding. She is critical, but ultimately understands the cause.
The moralists believe in keeping everything exactly the way it is. They believe in mineral rights, and not shooting people in the head. At least not in the same manner and volume as the others do. They are the long-standing provisional rulers of Réflexion now, the coalition government.
The rulers of Réflexion, and also the world. These guys are strong.
This is their zone of control. They embolden the RCM with crumbs of the same law they took. Technically speaking, you are a moralist. Of course. Not easy to be moderate about head shooting in your line of work. The turn of the century revolution? Don't answer it. It's a trick question. The revolution began in 02, on the Grad Isla, though by the end, nearly the whole world had gotten involved. It wasn't a who, but a what? A pandemic of Zarat, a particularly virulent prion disease, which the authorities in Grad proved unable to contain. Then Mazov came along and overthrew the government. It made people overthrow their governments. Indeed, Zarat is a highly infectious microorganism that destroyed brain tissue. The actual causes of the revolution were material. The pandemic only provided the spark. From Réflexion and Grad? Not far. The world managed to cauterize itself. Mazov's government was overthrown in 08, and the coalition crushed the Réflexion commune 2 years later. It was the end. Why? You and I, officer. Our lives in the zone of control.
Something tells you her life and yours are not that similar. Maybe it's because she has a boat and you have that necktie? A pair of pants?
No doubt. But we share the same time and position on the planet's crust. That counts for more than you think. A city-state divided into free market zones under the everlasting interregnum of the Coalition of Nations, and you, of course, the citizens' militia.
clatter of typewriter keys fills the main hall of the reappropriated silk mill. Precinct 41. Chad Tilbrook presses enter. Outside, Officer Elfboy Williams slams the door of an armored motor carriage.
The zone of control is the third incarnation of Réflexion, after the failure of the Suzerain and the Commune. Modernity. They developed the marvels of the inter-easlary communication, telematic milieus, radiation, colored plastics. Meanwhile, in Réflexion West, the aftermath continues for the 5th decade. 43 years. Hard to fathom, I know. The 20s saw a decade of urban war, west of the river leveled, offshore platforms in flames. Still, it's regarded as an improvement on what came before. 08 to 19 was simply hell. The 30s? Things settled down in the 30s. Réflexion East transformed itself into the world's largest tax haven, with the international community's blessing. For the first time in a long time, it seemed like things were going somewhere. No, it was a market mirage fueled by cocaine and quantitative easing. The 40s dispelled it like a cold splash, an Isla-wide hangover, you might say. And here we are. Welcome to reality, baby.
From the looks of it, the 50s haven't been much better for the zone of control. You can see it in her eyes. Days slipping away.
I've no right to be dissatisfied. This shirt is Barbara Muscova, this raincoat is impervious to rain and is guaranteed for 100 years. My daughters will wear it. No, it's just... We could have had so much more. Every one of us. If only we played it right. Good question. What would you have done differently?
A cold creeps up your spine, reaching its tendrils up your neck, toward the back of your head.
So a quarter of humanity simply lost their minds. And how would you stop a prion, a complex folding protein, unlife, with the technology 50 years ago?
The wind stops, and for a moment, there's silence. The charge dissipates into the dark water. All is quiet on the Martinez Inlet.
It's all yours.
A poor remedy for prion disease. That was the attitude of most of the more moderate Indo tribes, particularly those who supported the king. Kupri, Resplendent, both gone now. Those that survived mended their ways. They're all ultras now. Good question. And I asked you, past-less detective of the Citizens Militia, what insight has acute encephalopathy given?
Here's some wisdom, lady. Say the death thing.
And you would have died, most likely. Not far from here. Maybe even right here, during the beachhead, defending the coast the day the Coalition took the city.
The cold runs down your spine. She gestures toward the waters. The wind stops. There is silence on the dark water of the Martinez Inlet.
No, almost certainly. The Commune would have forced you. Such was the fate of the undecided. Good question. What would you have done and I are...
Here's some wisdom, lady. Say that...
And you would have died.
The cold runs down your spine. The wind stops.
Good. Not that it would have mattered. In the end, the Commune forced everyone to the barricades. Good question. And I...
Here's some wisdom, lady.
And you would have died.
The cold runs down your spine. The wind...
Then you would have died fighting against them. Long before the beachhead. Our time is a shadow cast by that day. Good question. You and everyone else. But that's got nothing to do with preventing the revolution. Oh, well. Good question.
The cold runs down your spine as you say the words, like a
I see. A tenth of humanity. The key of history is in the lock. Keep turning at any cost.
The wind stops, and for a moment...
The age of man is over.
Over? That's entropolism, the very height of late modernity. Evacuate this world. You may prove a truly modern man yet. Good question. What would you have done?
Cold.
I see. A tenth of humanity. The key of history is in the lock. Keep turning at any cost.
The wind stops.
Capital is past.
Capital is finished. Good question.
Cold.
I see. A tenth of humanity.
The wind stops, and for a...
Revachol forever.
Forever? In 20 years, Revachol went from a king, to a commune, to a zone of control. She is forever. Good question.
Cold.
I see. A tenth of humanity.
The wind stops.
It's all yours.
All yours? That's been the motto of many an Indo, believe it or not. Wild Pines isn't even the most notorious example. That would be Saint-Baptiste. You can go quite far with that attitude. Good question. What would you have done differently?
A cold creeps up your spine.
So a quarter of humanity simply lost their minds. And how would you stop a prion? A complex fold...
The wind stops.
Always.
Always. That's the can't-do attitude. That truly defines late modernity. You may... Good question.
A cold.
So a quarter of humanity simply lost...
The wind...
Pokemon, like cannons.
Liquidate? It's what King Philip kept screaming from the Sol Aurum. Liquidate! In the end, they liquidated the Sol Aurum, melted the palace cube down to gold and platinum, and sold it for bullets. Strange times. Good question.
A code.
So a quarter of humanity.
The wind.
There is peace.
Good hygiene. Really. A very moderate solution to an when they failed to step up, Marzov and his party stepped in. In this particular case, maybe a more robust state response might have been appropriate. Good question. And I asked...
Here's some wisdom, lady.
And you would have died.
The cold runs down your... The wind...
Good. Not that it... Good question. What would...
A cold.
So a quarter of humanity simply lost their minds.
The wind...
There is peace in the heart.
Good hygiene. Really. A very... When they failed to step up... Good question.
A code.
So a quarter of humanity simply lost their minds.
The wind...
It's all yours.
A poor remedy for prion disease. That was the attitude of most of the more Capri, resplendent, both gone now. Those that survived mended that. They are what they are. Who knows? An afterbloom may yet come. Anyway, enough sentimentality. Is there anything else you want to know? It's a neurological disorder caused by a lack of vitamin B in the brain. Symptoms include a retrograde amnesia. It's quite serious. You should get yourself checked out.
She conveys it in short, cold bursts, trying not to invest too deeply in the condition of this doomed detective.
Well, it's either bariatric surgery or long-term alcohol use.
She nods slowly. What this boils down to is, this reality thing is stupid. Blow this joint, grab a bottle, and drain that shit right down your... She stares at you, head tilted to the side, with a slightly concerned look on her face. She won't maneuver her way out of this one.
I am the vilest of the vile. A traitor, a devourer of nations and infants. I am an ultra.
She raises the corner of her mouth, smirking, revealing a canine. It's sharp.
An ultra-liberal. It's a type of liberal. From the revolution. It's, not the moderate kind. Haven't you heard? I am a nether creature of the Forbidden Swamp. One of those who pushed the king under a shit wagon and betrayed the revolution. We surrendered the nation to the financier pirates. No sane person identifies as an ultra-liberal anymore. Not in broad daylight. You're a man of the left. A true communard. Tell me, now that I've uncoiled myself, are you repulsed?
In her green eyes, you see a mixture of truth and self-satire. Decades of guilt and pride. Forgive her. But only because you like pearlescent teeth and those light green eyes.
A devil. who being of great charm and guile sneaketh into the homes of the godly.
Beneath her waterproof raincoat and silk shirt is a body imbibed in numb 12 perfume. You are suddenly and intimately aware of it.
I hope we're able to continue as friends, despite my deeply felt need to infiltrate and betray the revolution, and then ensnare you to financial service. Honestly, I may have even preferred it, had the communards won. Who knows? They might really have built something better. But they didn't, because they lost. When the dust settled, the Liberals were the only ones left to clean up the mess. By virtue of their survival, they were handed enormous power to shape the future. This was all our last generation managed. With due respect to our overlords, the eternal caretaker government that keeps Martinez a monument to the efficacy of its artillery.
While a gentle wind sweeps the streets in the rebuilt east, light drizzle washing it clean, lights go up and motor carriages circulate the tracks.
I would not have relinquished sovereignty to the Coalition. Not here in Martinez, and not in the Stella Maris or Delta Beachheads either. If not for my own sake.
She realizes her small, cold fists are clenched. She loosens them.
Then for my daughters. We had an obligation to defend our sovereignty. We should have burned the whole Isla down rather than let them have it.
Dark orange flames reflect in her green eyes. An oil fire on the ocean.
Perhaps. My intellectual vanity will be my undoing. Yes, I suppose I am. But I wouldn't be a patriot anywhere but here. Yes. Whatever else I am, I'm also a mother and a wife. Now, shall we return to reality?
She won't maneuver her way out of...
I am a...
She raises the... It's sharp.
Haven't you heard? We surrender...
In her green eyes, you forgive her, but only because you like pearlescent teeth.
A devil.
Beneath her waterproof...
Steal, kill, and destroy. That they say we've been doing for over 4 decades now. Perhaps regrettably. I've had my fill for this century. In any case, I'm glad we can remain collegial despite my scaly bulk and my perverse need to infiltrate and betray both kingdoms. Honestly, I may have even preferred it. When the dust settled, the Liberals were the only ones left to clean up the mess. By virtue, nothing's settled. It simply fades away, like a lover who has lost their faith. Now, shall we return to reality? A bird? A sphenicid? A flightless bird of the polar regions? Some sort of krill hunter? No, wait. You're an ancient ruin. A symbol of hubris and decay. Of course you're not, my dear. I'm just terrible at guessing games. Ah! This is the pier of Rue de Saint-Ghislaine, 33A, where the tenants have been kind enough to rent me a slot. Or 2. A pre-revolutionary tenement. Old buildings are called tenements, you see. And new buildings bâtiments. After les bâtiments nouveaux. But 33A and 33B are not nouveaux. They're old. This one used to be 8 to 10 stories tall. A real high-rise by the standards of the last century. Built to mirror the skyscrapers across the bay in the Delta. That was before the war, of course. Mostly the urban middle class, I believe. This was once primo real estate, before the cannons lopped 4 or 5 stories off. Splat, splat. Wonderful. The girl in the old lady rags. Looks like a sullen and rebellious member of a teen infraculture. Yes, you and I belong to the supraculture. We're common, the herd. The music on the radio, the food in the chain restaurant, those are all too popular for the girl in the old lady rags. She prefers a fantasy world, an infraculture with its own dress code and vernacular. It is an illusion, I'm afraid. There is no refuge from the supraculture. I can't. That's how simple it is. One may dye their hair green and wear their grandma's coat all they want. Capital has the ability to subsume all critiques into itself. Even those who would critique capital end up reinforcing it. All right. What next? The girl in the old lady rag? Ah, yes. There's something very satisfying about discussing the fundamental facts of reality. Go ahead. The girl in the old lady rags? Looks like a... Yes, she prefers a fantasy world. Young people who dye their hair funny colors and wear old people's clothes are stupid, and their little rebellion is self-defeating. All right. What next? A bird? Of course you're not, my dear. I'm just terrible at guessing game. Of course. Ask me anything.
Six kilometers southwest in the Valley of Dogs, Junior Officer Chad Tilbrook takes aim at a rabid black dog licking its wounds in the grass. To his left, his partner, Emil Mullins, whispers, "You heard what happened to Tequila Sunset in Martinez?" "Yes, he lost his mind," Tilbrook answers, fingers on the trigger. "Don't worry, Emil." He pulls it out slowly. "We always do."
You? You're an officer of the RCN. Preciso mundo. Nothing more nor less than the de facto law enforcement body of post-revolutionary Revachol, detective. Yes, that means not de jure. The RCN acts in what is poetically called the twilight of international law, both at the behest of the coalition government and to its chagrin. The RCN's responsibilities are defined by the Emergency, Wayfarer and Aliments Acts, 3 pieces of legislation keeping the city in a, let's be honest, laissez-faire stasis to the benefit of foreign capital. There's nothing basic about your role, detective. It's true that the RCM keeps everything the way our seemingly permanent, provisional rulers like it. Yet, on the other hand, I know these people. I deal with them daily. Let me tell you, dear, They are not fans of you. The post-revolutionary decade was a disaster for the coalition government. Revachol in the 20s was hell, especially on the west side of the river. Gang warfare, a botched privatization scheme, a nuclear pile meltdown. They called it the International Zone because no nation wanted to claim responsibility. The RCM restored peace where the coalition failed. A true blue citizens' initiative. They will never forgive you. So permit me to conclude with this. Who you are to me is the police, the only legitimate law enforcement authority in Revachol. And if those authorities drink so hard they need help recalling the basic terms of reality, well, I'm here to help. Nothing more nor less than the de facto law enforcement. Yes, that means not. Permit me to conclude with this. Who you are, and if those authorities drink so hard they need help recalling the basic terms of reality, well, I am here to help. Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know. Anything else? More lessons in basic reality? My favorite part of the day. Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know. Anything else? It's quite straightforward. Someone is using Terminal B to smuggle raw ingredients from the Samar and Isola into Revachol with the Union's blessing. Wild Pines has suspected it for years. Meth and dextroamphetamine, GBL and various synthetic psychedelics. Honestly, it might be quicker to say what you can't make from the stuff. Yes, after they clear the terminal, we lose track. The actual production is taking place at various sites in and around Jamrock Quarter, north of here. Yes, but you won't get anything out of Evrat and the Dockworkers Union. Still, every chain has its weak link. The lorries. Someone needs to move the ingredients from the harbour into the city. Once they reach Jamrock, they're distributed to a network of local manufacturers well beyond our grasp. But in transit, they are vulnerable. Perhaps you've noticed that a number of lorries are tangled in a traffic jam at the roundabout just now. Interview the drivers who are still hanging about. One of them might be waiting for a crucial shipment. I'll be explicit. If you find this driver, I will share company secrets with you.
You'll be indebted to her, in a way, but one step ahead of the Union in another.
We did, on more than one occasion. Apparently, there's some sort of inter-precinct disagreement about whose jurisdiction this area falls under. Well, here's your chance. No. We asked East Motor Track to raise the drawbridge. The road company is a partner of one of our subsidiaries. However, this is a limited time opportunity. Once the complaint has been processed by the Trade Committee, they'll have no choice but to lower the drawbridge, and the operation will continue. Thousands of litres of raw ingredients will pour onto the streets of Revachol. Not the east across the river, but the west. The vulnerable, the weary. How do you think they're financing this strike? There are thousands of unpaid dock workers going strong for the 4th month straight. It's true they drove a number of the local businesses to bankruptcy preparing for this venture. I've talked to a few business owners. It was quite the shakedown. But the contents of a few cash registers cannot provide for 2,000 men. Precisely. Smuggled out of that very gate at night, most likely, then loaded onto lorries and driven to Jamrock. You simply need to find one driver who will open up to you.
It sounds like she tried looking into it herself, but she's clearly not the type your typical lorryman would confide in.
Yes? Excellent. According to my reports, there are at least 3 lorry drivers lingering near the roundabout. Hopefully one of them will know something. It may come to nothing, or it may just blow the case wide open. I suspect the traffic jam won't disperse for a few more days. You should have the time you need. In the meantime, let me know if there's any other way I may be of assistance. Of course, Detective. Take care.
What's this? We're getting reports of normal, reasonable, temperate, political opinions somewhere in Martinez. The air suddenly feels calmer, more transparent in a strangely tender way. Perhaps it's the hangover. Perhaps it's a temporary surge of serotonin. But it's time to become a citizen of the Kingdom of Conscience. It is not a place. It is a moment in time that can only arise in the right circumstances. In all of human history, it's only been achieved a handful of times. Incrementally. Yawn, you'd get there faster with a little speed. History's greatest catastrophes have been brought about by people trying to make the world a better place. Too quickly. That's the genius of Dolores Day. She recognized that progress is meaningless if its gains are lost because of instability. Real, lasting change can only come about gradually, increment by increment. Tisk tisk. Just because you live in the present doesn't mean you have the right to place your needs above the needs of the future. You may never live to see the kingdom of conscience. Your children may not. Even your grandchildren might not. But that's no excuse not to keep working. What sang-froid? What a fucking joke. Do you believe the status quo is preferable to chaos and bloodshed? Then you've never lived through real chaos. Sometimes, in the face of great disaster, defending the status quo is progress. The kingdom is difficult to comprehend, and even more difficult to describe. Partly because humanity will need to discard many of the categories that define and limit it today. The kingdom of conscience is post-capitalist, post-national. It's also post-industrial, post-ideological, and even post-sexual. What you want is immaterial. The kingdom of conscience is coming, whether you like it or not. Only very slowly. It's clear you like the hard stuff, Brota. Evening falls. The time has come to take the vow. The vows are blood and flesh. Lower intestine, the term is metabolic and circulatory system. Fascism, Brota. Many things, but it's mostly about trusting your gut. Who does your gut tell you is the source of Réflection's problems? Yes, them, but also women. Women, men of war, you don't like them. They're insane. Their idiocy needs to be scrubbed off this world with rubbing alcohol. Woo men need to go back to the fucking kitchen. That's what fascism boils down to. The rest is also important. But the main thing is that women need to know their place. Stomach truth. You're having a stomach truth. Because you've said the hard things that others won't say. The good things, you've said them many times. Okay, yes, let's call it that. Good thinking. You're going to keep your views, right? Keep your views, Brota. There's a slow, painful growl somewhere in your intestines, knocking on your alcohol-engorged liver. It is one of betrayal and disappointment. Hey. Psst. Psst. Hey, you. Yes, you. Word on the street is you're ready to start building communism again. Yes, you're ready to start building communism again. You've built it before. They've built it before. Hasn't really worked out yet. But neither has love. Should we just stop building love, too? This conversation isn't really about love. Try to keep up, okay? This is about the communism you've promised to build. Word on the street is it's going to be 10,000 times larger than any communism previously attempted. Is that true? You keep saying things like, down with the bourgeoisie, eat the rich, sodomize the landowners, impale all people who have more than 25 real in their pockets, literally murder all human beings regardless of their political beliefs. That kind of stuff. Okay, not in so many words, but don't deny it. You're about to rip off that mask of social democracy and reveal the monstrous seven-eyed lamb of global communism that will devour and masticate mankind. Everyone can see that. So tell me, do you have any questions before we fire up the big communism builder? Or do we get right down to it? Failure. It's about failure. Yes, abject failure. Total, irreversible defeat on all fronts. Absolutely vanquished, beaten, curb-stomped and pissed on. Until you came along. You will reverse the fortune of the workers of the world. You alone, against every living thing, against every human alive. 800 trillion real in the hands of an impossibly well-organized ruling class. Towering city blocks of bankmen who have the ears of prime ministers. Million-headed armies of nations and the love of your own mother. You against the atom, the charm and the spin, where the whole world failed. Matter failed to bend to human will. Human will failed to get out of bed and tie its laces. You alone, single-handedly, will rebuild the dreams of the working class. You are the last communist. Now get to work, comrade. Very well. I guess no one will build communism then. Tell the working man it's over, unless anyone has objections. Did someone mention cocaine? Are we doing cocaine? No. I'm sure I heard someone say cocainism. Anyone? Anyone else? There's no one? There's no one. Okay then, lie down and let the water carry you downstream. Wow, you work hard. Oh, yes, you hustle. You're a provider. It's tough out there, but you keep it real and provide. Oh yeah, like a horse, a workhorse, for hard work. Look at yourself. You're a human pedometer. You must have walked 200,000 steps down cracked asphalt, mosaic, sand, and linoleum after you re-emerged. That is the sign of a hustler who never gives up. The world is harsh and people are evil. You didn't make it that way, and you won't let it break you. You ride. A little. You make money. You got gills, baby. Got those black papers with the faces of the innocents on them. You bring in the Franco-Negros and the Solas. It ain't easy, but you do it. Day in and day out. You didn't make the rules, but you won't lose. You're a cop, and a sprinter, and a money printer. Yeah, you're in the sales business. Shake 'em for shit and then pawn it off. Law officer style. You didn't log that in as a donation either. You don't log any of that shit in. You're a straight rider. Sure. And has it been easy? Is life easy? Have you not gone into cardiac arrest? Are you not about to have an anxiety attack or shoot yourself in the mouth? But are you rich? That's right. You work harder than anyone. You almost rode yourself to the grave, and you're still practically a hobo. Why is that? Because of the taxes, G-Man's got his jam-covered sticky fingers in your pocket, stealing from you every time you buy, sell, walk, talk, fart, so much as sneeze. Every time you wipe your ass, they got their direct and their indirect modes of taxation. Sales tax, excise duty, extraction tax, alimony. One tax that doesn't even have a name. Plus there's the stuff people in other countries pay for. That makes them ask for more money from you. Here, tote 98% of all your money. What are you not sure about? They're milking your nipples till they bleed. Can't you see? Aren't you sick and tired of having bloody nipples? What are you, a racist? Don't be a racist. Be a cool immigrant, ultra-liberal free market advocate. Ride or die. Keep it street.
back. Good. What can I help you with at this late hour? Matter of fact, I don't. I have a medical condition of my own. Nothing unusual, though. I'm old, you see. Of course. That's what I'm here for.
Can I help you?
A mirror hangs on the bathroom wall,